And I do believe that this person has full intentions of like trying to correct the situation with you, because very clearly here with the sun coming out on this, I think that everything is going to be made clear to you. But then I also think that it may leave you in a place where you're going to be like really hurt and disappointed at the fact that this person did what they did. Believe me when I tell you that this is an issue for them. And I do think that they are really like reevaluating their life and the choices that they've made. And that's not me trying to defend them in what they have done. But again, it's general. It's only going to be for some of you. But this is telling a very detailed story here. The Empress coming into this situation. I think that for a lot of you, I feel responsibility with her, but I also feel that for a lot of you, you have given a lot of yourself. You may have been very caring for this person. You may have been a mother figure in a way to them. I don't think that this is about you looking at the other female. I really believe that this is the way that you see yourself coming into this. Okay? So this could be whether you're male or female. What they have done can suggest it could be male or female here, but they've clearly done something that they have an issue with that they shouldn't have been doing in the first place. That I will say. The Five of Cups very clearly being the overall here is not just about the hurt emotions over what has happened, but it's going to be even more so when everything kind of like comes out. So you may have like given a lot of yourself because you could to this person. Temperance is saying that I think for them, they clearly here, especially with the Seven of Swords, have an issue with not getting involved in situations that they shouldn't be involved with. Okay, I mean, and that's simply breaking it down. But I also think that there was a part of them that tried to kind of like hold back from you, if that makes sense. It's almost like you dealing with somebody that, you know, clearly you have feelings for. This is a relationship, but the way that this started, I think, is because you gave them assistance, if that makes sense. Let me be the mother figure. Let me help you. I have abundance around me that I can share. But I think that they knew that they shouldn't, that they really needed to get their act together, but I think that they did it anyway. And I do think that what they're trying to do now is make up for what they have done. Now, looking at the Ace of Cups, my problem is that for you, you may be looking at another opportunity with this person, and I do think that there's a kind of a Nine of Cups type of feeling to this. I don't think that it diminishes the painful feelings that may be surrounding what they've done, but with the Seven of Swords, very clearly, they did something that they shouldn't have. They have issues with this. That's what I'm getting from this. And they're not being very clear about, you know, their own intentions moving forward with you. But with the Ace of Cups, I almost look at that as a mixture with the Nine of Cups, that this is something that you want, a new beginning. But I also think that you need a new beginning for yourself. You know, this may be the failed attempt here with this person. But the Magician coming out of this, though, I think that for them with the Hermit, they are going to be forced to really look at what they've done. And I do think that there is going to be some regret on their part. And I do think that they're going to want to try to fix the situation. And I think that the best thing for them to do is have everything kind of like out in the open, because clearly you have been in the dark as far as the extent of what was going on that you were not aware of. But going back to the Magician, I think that you still feel like you have the ability to make what you want happen in this. I don't necessarily look at this as this person is continuously trying to manipulate the situation. I think that this is really what you want. This is what you want to create, and that's kind of what you're thinking about. But then the full extent of everything is what is made known, if that makes sense. But the only reason why you're showing the Magician is because they're taking a distance from you, and I don't think that you understand why, especially with the Angel of the Night. But you're coming out of the dark in a big way with the Sun. But is that reason to believe, though, now that things can be healed between, you and this other person where they clearly have issues. I'm telling you, they have issues. It's not that they have ill intent, but they continuously, I feel like, do things that they know better, that they try to hold themselves back from, but they keep going back to the same type of behavior, if that makes sense. And then the Ace of Pentacles. I think that, regardless, there's still kind of like an opportunity here, but I think that it may be being pushed a little bit too quickly, but really, I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you. Okay, so, I mean, clearly there is a want here to kind of like start over with this person. But clearly you've been in the dark about some things. And they're definitely, wanting to heal it. But the thing that I think is lacking is accountability. And that's, my problem here. But, okay, so, the possibility of healing and having hope restored, right? And wanting to heal a situation that this person has been keeping you in the dark about. The first thing that you're showing with the Seven of Cups and then the Ace of Wands is that I think for you, you're looking at it like, now that I see, are you able to get past, your expectations and fantasies about what could possibly happen with this relationship? And I think for you, it's like realizing that what you thought was there maybe is not exactly, but they're showing it to you in a way where if we can get past this, there's this Ace of Wands, right? There's the passion being restored, hope being restored, a new beginning between the both of you. But for you, it's more practical. For them, it's more like passion. Like, I don't doubt that they feel bad about what they've done. And I really do think that they've taken a hard look at themselves and what actions they have taken. But I'm not seeing like, and I'm hoping that with the Five of Cups, right, we may be talking about at least some form of an apology. But the problem is with that being the overall, there's still going to be the hurt emotions anyway. So now, after that, with Judgment and then looking at the Six of Wands, I think that they are recognizing that you are needing to reassess everything that you thought you knew about this person in this relationship and everything that you've done for them. So you're looking at everything differently now that the sun is shining on the places where you've been in the dark. Now, and for them, I think that they feel like is, I did the right thing, and now I need to recognize and see that this is kind of where you're at. But I think that they also want you to see that they're trying to do the right thing in their own weird way, if that makes sense. But then you're looking at the potential here with the Ace of Pentacles, right? But it's about being a little bit more realistic. But I think that they're trying to push it a little bit too quickly, like I said, with this Eight of Wands. Now, if we're talking about communication, this is never face-to-face for me. And that's a problem. Because with the Hermit being there, there is still a distance between the two of you. So it could be, though, that you're very simply talking back and forth about how we are going to move forward, what this new beginning is going to be for real this time. Not some illusion, not some kind of fantasy here. Now that you see the light of everything, can there be, life breathed back into this relationship? But there's definitely going to be the lingering of hurt emotions. And I think for them, it's regret over what they've done. So, like, I'm really trying to give this person the benefit of the doubt, but I really do think that this is an issue for them. And have they really, the way that they kind of see it is different, where most people would go, I did something wrong, let me fix this, in a big way where justice should have shown up. Instead of, look, I'm doing the right thing by showing you everything. Because you are in the dark about a lot of things. So, whether or not you guys have known each other in past lives, there are going to be issues clearly here from the past with a relationship with a person here that need to be kind of like cleared up. Now, the past issue to me looks like with the Six of Pentacles, this is somebody who isn't giving you what you need. You're not getting the attention that you need. They're ignoring that there is a problem going on within the relationship, or they see it and they choose to do nothing about it. But for you, it's like this person is not who they used to be, because it's like you're focusing on how the relationship once was, right? So that's how you come into this. With the King of Pentacles, this is about somebody who's being a little bit too pushy, a little bit too forceful. So I think that this is going to be about somebody who's coming back around to you here. And they're really trying to get your attention with the Six of Wands being there. Like they're really being pushy about it though. But this is not like in an Eight of Cups type of way. It's a little bit too forceful, but ultimately here though, you kind of like lead to this place with the Four of Wands where you're having fun. This is great. It is what it is. There's no reason to kind of rush anything. So I think that for some of you, you may kind of like give into this. That, or we could be talking about you doing this. But the King of Pentacles for me in this deck is always going to be about somebody who's a little bit too, pushy, demanding, But it's like you're okay with that though, or the other person's okay with that. But with Temperance, it's like let's just let things build, let things build naturally. There's no reason to kind of rush this, but it's fun, and it is what it is. And I hate that fucking saying, but that's what that looks like to me. And the Ace of Wands. So right, and it is about walking away from the past. Other than fertility and pregnancy and things like that. For all we know here, this could be about somebody that you have kids with. But, it's just fun right now. But, in order for there to be that kind of new beginning, right, like the past is gone, The Sun, this to me is, with the Sun being here, this is a little bit different. This is a really good relationship, right? An abundant relationship. It's always a good thing when the sun is shining on a relationship that you have. So it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing here, but we're still talking about, a relationship where you felt like they were ignoring your needs. And then you move into Judgment. And I think that it's interesting that this one kind of fell out because there is, the bond between the two of you. And it may be, like I said, because of kids. And that could be for some of you. But I think that they're being a little bit too pushy and wanting attention from you, but yet they weren't willing to give it to you in the past. But at some point, this was a really good relationship with the Sun, especially with the way that you looked at it. It was good at one point. Why can't it ultimately kind of return to this? But there is clearly the need to kind of like get the past out of what is going on with you and this person moving forward, because Judgment is about blowing the stagnation out of a relationship. But I also kind of pull the traditional meaning from this though too, where things need to be looked at differently. This is otherwise a really good relationship, I think, for some of you. Not for all of you, but for some of you, general message. But like I said, with the Ace of Wands, there's, the new beginning, right? So, and it could just be like past issues in the relationship that, have to be healed. But definitely with past life, that could be the case. And then, yeah, and that makes sense. The Five of Cups. But I think that you're fine. So now with the Hierophant kicking this off, the Hierophant in this deck is about spiritual support for your relationship, right? But we always typically see this as the narcissist, but traditionally it's because the Hierophant represents the conduit between man and God, right? There is no middleman there. And anybody who thinks that they are would, make sense that they're narcissistic in believing that. But I look at the Hierophant a little bit differently, especially considering the progression here. So for a lot of you, I think that we're talking about, definitely a situation where there is true love, but with the Hierophant, this could definitely be about a marriage. A big commitment here that was made. But with the Four of Pentacles, this could be about, things kind of going a little bit dull. It's not like the Seven of Pentacles where things just kind of get lazy and there's no effort put in anymore. But you're talking about trying to get the passion built back up in the relationship, right? But what may be happening here is that being committed to somebody may be too much for you or the other person, if that makes sense. It's like it takes the passion out of it almost. Now, moving into the Nine of Cups, this is happy. This is really happy. This is really being in love. Having everything that you want out of this relationship. And with the Magician, you're talking about being able to make that happen. Can you make this happen? So I really think that, and this speaks to the true love, absolutely. that, I think that for some of you coming into this, I think that you do want a commitment. You want a major commitment. You want to have that kind of support in the relationship, but I don't know that you or the other person here are wanting it. But clearly there's happiness between the two of you. And maybe it could be one of those things where it's like, well, we don't have to be married to be together for the rest of our lives. It's like dealing with somebody who looks at marriage as a piece of paper, basically. But the Magician here is about continuing to, make what you want happen in this relationship, having the ability to kind of create that. And with the Nine of Cups, it's beautiful. The problem, though, is if you are dealing with a person like that, with the Seven of Wands, you're talking about needing to overcome any doubts or any questions that you may have being involved with a person. That is the Seven of Wands. The Five of Swords looks very similar to that, and that's different when it comes to overcoming feelings of inadequacy. This is doubt. This is about having doubt in the relationship and overcoming that. But that's all because somebody is apologizing for something that they may have done in the past. So it makes me wonder if they're not changing their viewpoint. And for you, it's how do I make what I want happen in this situation? Because clearly there's a lot of love for this person. Things are really good. But, I doubt that this is a relationship that is going to last the long haul if that's not what they want. Because for some reason, it's it kills passion a little bit. But for some reason, they're apologizing and wanting you to get over those doubts and those fears. And I don't really see that as a bad thing, but the Emperor typically shows somebody who is, full of passion, the passionate male, right? But I kind of look at this, though, as, they're apologizing because they have more of a passion for you than what they were showing before. And I think that that's what they're sorry about, because they made you question on whether or not it was worth even continuing, honestly. So with the Hangman, like I said, clearly, especially with the Nine of Cups, there's the bond, right? You're bound together. Now, definitely, though, can show that, somebody can't move forward, and again, perspective comes up with the Hangman here, but clearly they're not, it's almost like they're not willing to move forward or willing to change just yet, because they're not seeing things the same way that you are. But there's definitely the kind of hold up in the relationship, but you're bound together. With the Three of Pentacles, it makes sense because, you're looking at how can I create more? I want more warmth, more understanding, more of a connection, because clearly the feelings are there. And I do believe that that's on both sides. But, again, going back to the Emperor, right? I feel like they feel bad because they have more of a passion for you than what they have expressed before.